Uh, Hi and welcome to all the audience who have joined in. Thank you again for uh, taking out your time because the time zones are so varied across the continents, but still you have taken out time to join us. This is actually the fourth episode of the Tag Talk show, which is sponsored by Tagmate. Tagmate is a product by Tathwik Analytics, which is a GMP agency. Google Marketing Platform Agency. Tech Talk Show is all about MarTech, starting from data collection via Google Tag Manager into your Google Analytics, visualizations, what kind of data discrepancies that you might come across, the configurations that you need to move from Universal Analytics to GA4, and first-party data strategies, and so much more. Uh, we have received uh, applause for the last couple of episodes that we have had with multiple experts. And today we are kind of honored to have Lars as one of our as a GA4 expert, and he runs an agency based out of Netherlands, which is Matweg Online. Hi, thank you, Lars, for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
Today's Tech Talk is definitely very close to the hearts of people uh, who are, or the marketers, I would say, or the website owners, even the agencies, because anybody and everybody has to migrate from UA to GA4 long before the due date of July 2023, when Google has uh, kind of leveled that you have to migrate, otherwise your data collection in your universal analytics property is going to stop, right? So it's like a necessary evil, GA4. But while we are doing this migration, I think a lot of you would have tried to do the migration or are contemplating when to get started on GA4 migration because you have larger websites or some of your clients are not ready with their plans, right? So this Tech Talk show or episode is all about the top 10 common uncommon pitfalls or mistakes to avoid in your GA4 migration journey. Great. So we hope this Tech Talk show episode will be as interesting as the last ones or the previous ones, and you guys go home with or get started with your work today morning with good enough insights from our expert Lars, so that you can basically avoid all those common or uncommon pitfalls. Yeah. So today's agenda looks like this. It's going to stay for about 45 to 50 minutes. We'll start with a quick introduction of the speakers. Then we'll talk about a little bit of GA4. I think most of you know already, and that's why you are today in the session. Then we'll go to the meat of today's discussion, which is the top 10 uncommon pitfalls. And Lars would be taking us through some interactive demos and real life issues that you might face when you are going ahead with migration. A couple of additional pitfalls or critical scenarios that you should look out for as well. And then we have an audience Q&A at the end with closing thoughts. Okay, awesome. Again, thank you, Lars, for joining us. So welcoming Lars. Lars runs Migrating Online. It's a digital marketing agency based out of Netherlands. And you can say his agency is like full services, right from SEO, SCM, social ads, web development, GA, GA4, GTM implementation, you name it. And the agency does servicing for that. Um, and since he owns this agency, so you can definitely say that he's an expert in all of this. Google Ads, GA qualified, Microsoft Ads qualified, Facebook Blueprint certified. I think he'll just keep on adding more certifications under his belt, right? He's passionate about online marketing, and that's why he is today here to deliver some insights from his own agency experience and servicing client experience, so that clients can easily acquire more business from the internet. He regularly participates in such speaking sessions and brainstorming sessions around online digital marketing. You can reach him at lars@matwickonline.nl. Okay. I don't think I need to introduce myself. I run the product division at Tatwik Analytics, and although Tatwik Analytics is a services agency, but we also develop a lot of critical products and solutions across data analytics and marketing analytics. So Tagmate being one of them, which is the sponsor of this particular webinar series. We'll talk about Tagmate a little bit during the end of the session. And there are other products as well, Pipestream and Badger. You can reach me at hello@tagmate.app. Okay, without ado, let's get started on GA4. Very short, I think Google language, you can say GA4 is the next gen analytics, right? Which has all new innovations that has come in, different than UA, the Universal Analytics version, because everybody knows that third-party cookies are going to go away sooner or later in 2024. So GA4 is more privacy-focused and how they're future-proof and scalable for different kind of machine learning, capabilities along with it, and solving audience activation problems, right? So if we say in Crux, GA4 is able to solve mostly the three use cases, which is like the measurement of user journey across cross-device, the first-party audience activation, where when we are talking about your own audience data getting activated across your marketing platforms, and tracking of conversions in your GA4 property of your marketing paid ads, right? So when we say GA4, what's more unique about it when we compare it to UA? So there is obviously the cross-platform journey, which is a completely rebuilt model of event-based data model, machine learning capabilities, which has predictive audiences and a lot more machine learning modeling for data modeling, and data integrations. When we talk about data integrations, we are looking at GA4 as one of your components or one of your sources for your data warehouse, where you can connect your online and offline data. And definitely Google, when you're in Google ecosystem, then you have to use the audiences in your GA4 across your marketing platforms like Google Ads or Display and Video 360 and so forth, right? Yeah, so enough of this. I think GA4, you would get all this data or knowledge across internet, across all the sources that you have, and even from Google's Think with Google blog channel, right? So while we are doing all this migration or we are moving into GA4, I think we have listed down some top 10 pitfalls or mistakes that you should look out for. We'll keep this interesting and short, and let's check what is the first one. That's a very I would say basic. It looks basic, but it's actually a very important or a critical one. But here I would stop myself and I would let Lars to kind of share his screen, because he would want us to get into a demo and a practical demo for each of these pitfalls. Okay, over to you, Lars. Thank you.
Okay, great. The first pitfall is about the event structure in GA4 compared to Universal Analytics. So Bismayy, if I remember correctly, you have something you want to say about this sheet before I go into the live demo?
Yeah. So I just wanted to kind of clarify or ask you the question. Maybe you could help us with a real world example. So we knew that UA had event category, action level, value, and custom dimensions, which is like on the left hand side, right? And people want to move from the old UA to the new GA4 structure. So how does it look like in the new GA4 structure?
Yes, so the difference is indeed that in Universal Analytics, we've got event category, action, label, and value. And GA4 is built around events. Everything that is being measured in GA4 is an event, and we can shoot some additional information with an event to GA4, and that is what we call a parameter. So if I have a look in how in Universal Analytics this was being shown, in your UA reports on the behavior, you see some events. And as you can see right here, this is the Dutch one, but it says category, action, and label. And in GA4, it's under engagement, events, and you can see the events right here. If you click on a specific event, you will be taken to some more information about that event, and you can see the parameters that are being measured on that event in the last 30 minutes. So I just clicked on the event page view, and as you can see, there's a parameter for campaign in here, but I can easily look up other parameters as well. So for example, page location, in which I can see the page URL on the where the page view event was being fired. So that's basically the difference between the event structure in Universal Analytics and in GA4.
Great. So you mean to say that the event category, so when you translate it, the event category action gets translated to something like an event name, and then you have everything moved into the parameters, right?
That's correct.
Is there a concept of custom dimensions in GA4 as well?
Yeah, there are also custom dimensions in GA4. In fact, as soon as you create your own parameters and events in GA4, you need to add them as a custom dimension as well to see them in the reports. Not sure whether or not Google is going to change this in the upcoming months, but at this point, in order to see your own custom events and parameter information in some custom reports, you need to make sure that those are added as a custom dimension as well.
Got it. Yeah, thank you for that. Okay, so done with one. Let's go to the next one. So this is very interesting because most of our clients, they start comparing the users metric across UA and GA4. So it's a misconception that users metric are actually the same and comparable. So what do you have to say to that, Lars?
That's indeed not the same in UA as it is in GA4. That's mainly because the technology on which GA4 is being built is way different than Universal Analytics was. That's also the reason why with this shift from UA to GA4, all the website owners and marketing agencies had to build some new properties as a new measurement ID we need to put on the website. And that's also the reason why there are some discrepancies between a couple of metrics in Universal Analytics compared to GA4. So users is basically just one of them. And it's not only the technique on the system of GA4, but also the definitions of how GA4 is calculating these metrics. So as you can see right here, Universal Analytics has users, which is the total users, and in GA4 the users are the active users. So that's slightly different. And I also can show you the difference in a real-time report. So in here, I've got the users for a website in January, and it says 2,865. And the same website in the same period of time, the users in GA4 says 2.7K. So
pretty close.
Yeah. And I think, and that's purely based on my own experience, if we have like around a 10% discrepancy, then I'm not worried. Of course, you need to make sure that everything is set up properly. But if you see a difference of more than 10%, then there's a good possibility that something is not set up the right way, and that needs to be investigated. But otherwise, I think 10% discrepancy is not a problem.
Great. Okay. Yeah. Something to note for us. Great. Let's move to the third issue then. This is quite difficult because migrating e-commerce events to GA4 is it that easy? Because we tend to read in the developer guide that e-commerce events can be migrated, but you still need technical help. Actually, you cannot do that without any developer help. And also, there is a lot of e-commerce reports which were available in UA. It's not there in GA4 by default. So what do we do about it? Lars, would you help the audience?
Yeah, so this is a difficult one because, as you mentioned, as a marketer or a website owner, it's pretty difficult to set up e-commerce measurement yourself. That's my humble opinion. I always ask the help of some developers in this one. A good thing is, though, that the GA4 e-commerce events can be set up in the same data layer as the Universal Analytics e-commerce events were. But there are some slight differences, not only in the reporting between UA and GA4, but also, for example, in GA4, with every event that you want to fire to GA4 about e-commerce, you really need to make sure that the currency is one of the parameters that is being sent along with the event. Otherwise, GA4 has some problems measuring it. So that's something to be aware of. And as mentioned, and I'm not sure if I have it. Yeah, there it is. And here we can see the e-commerce event in a UA report. And on the left side, you can see the menu and all the standard reports that are available. In GA4, you will find it under monetization. And in here, it's e-commerce purchases. And if you want to have some more in-depth reports about the e-commerce results from your website, you basically need to create your own reports, additional reports, or create a funnel for yourself. So yeah, that's basically the state of e-commerce in GA4 at this moment. Google is still adding things to GA4, not only settings and stuff like that, but probably also reports. So maybe there will be some additional reports and functionalities about the e-commerce as well. But yeah, that still needs to be seen.
Yeah. And what about so because we used to see the product as an object in UA versus in GA4 it's item. So is it same or is it transferred 1:1? The product is equals to item.
Yeah, basically the item name is the products that are in your web shop. Basically, that's how you could look at it.
Okay, got it. Yeah, right. Great. So which basically means that without the help of a developer, I think it would be a little more difficult or it could go wrong. So yeah, I think the audience needs to take the help of developer while doing this.
Yeah.
Great.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So moving to the fourth one, this is all about goals. I think everybody, at least the marketing team, loves goals when they used to set up in UA. At least I did it for my websites or for my client websites. So can I migrate all my UA goals to GA4? Because what I see is there are a lot of UA goals, but they are not available in GA4 because GA4 does not have something called a goal. They have something called a conversion event. So is it 1:1 or there is a difference, Lars?
Yeah, there is a difference between those. In Universal Analytics, there are a couple of things that you can add as a goal. As you can see right here, it's a destination. So when a specific destination has been reached on the website, a specific event you've set up, and stuff like pages, a session, or the duration of somebody on a website. And then you also have the horrible smart goals, which I really hate. And in GA4, it's way different. In GA4, basically, what we need to do is we need to set up an event and make sure that within that event, your relevant parameters are being fired to Google as well. And as soon as GA4 is measuring some data on that event, so for example, if you have a thank you page on a specific form on your website, you can set up an event that is being fired as soon as somebody reaches that specific thank you page. And then in GA4, you have the possibility to mark an event as a conversion. So every time that event occurred, a conversion is being measured. So that's basically how GA4 is working its way around conversions.
Got it. Yeah. That's definitely. I think the other definition is about the conversion counting, right? It counts one per session, while GA4 it counts every instance. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a big difference as well.
Yeah, because the numbers will bloat up in your GA4 reports. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't you show us a demo of the conversion, how to mark it as a conversion? Yeah.
Yeah, it's basically pretty easy. So when you are in your GA4 settings account, you can go to the event page. And as you can see, you can also go to the conversion page. But if you go to the conversion page, you will only see the conversions that are marked as active at that moment. So have a look at the event page. And as you can see right here, all the events that are being measured on this GA4 property are in place. As you can see, the purchase event is already being marked as a conversion, because that is what this row is telling us, mark as conversion. So let's say that I want the telephone numbers clicks marked as a conversion. I can just simply toggle this one on, and at that point, those events are being measured as a conversion. That's basically how it works, easy as that. Of course, before the information is here, you need to make sure that the event is being created. And I think that is something that we will address later in this presentation as well.
Right. And I think this conversion event can be used in the past reporting as well, past date, past period reporting.
I kind of think I made a mistake in the call we had earlier, because it actually is not the way that it works. So as soon as you create the event, then the event will measure the things that you want to measure. It's not working backwards, and the same applies for the conversion. So as soon as you activate it as a conversion, then it's from that point on, it's being measured as a conversion and not backwards.
Okay. Yeah, that's an important thing to notice that. Yeah. Great. Let's move to the number 5 of. Yeah, this is interesting. I was actually going through some other webinar, and they were talking about this particular missing part, that UA views, they are not available in GA4. Are they required, or what are streams? Are streams equivalent to views, or what is the entire scenario happening out in GA4 Plus?
Yeah, so this is something that, in my opinion, is how do you say it? Difficult to get my head around on what Google was thinking here, because I think, well, the majority of the marketers under us are working with views in UA. That could be like a raw data view, a filtered view, a test view, a main view, or stuff like that. And now in GA4, you don't have views. You only have just simply one stream for your website, and that's what we can work with. In the paid version of GA4, GA4 360, there is a possibility to use views, but in the free version, there's not. And as you can see right here in Universal Analytics, the things that I was mentioning, like raw view, I said main view, but master view, of course. And you can make some differences based on country or language or any other filters. And in GA4, that is not possible. So we need to create like a workaround if you want to measure stuff differently. I think I can show you some
that would be
possibility.
great. Yeah.
So this is like the structure of the menu in GA4. And for the people already familiar with GA4, you will probably see some other things than you have in your menu, and that's because I already edited my menu. So we've got collections, and in here we see the collection. It says gebruiker, but it says it's user in English. I have the collection India traffic, lifecycle, maatwerk online, my AC name, and search console. Those are collections, and within each collection, there are some reports. So, for example, the report demographic, or the report technology. And each report, you are able to make some additions to that one. So let's say I go to the user acquisition report. And on the top right corner, you have this pencil where you can edit this report. And as soon as you edit a report, you have the possibility to add a filter to it. and it says, okay, based on what dimension you want to create a filter. So I could say, okay, I want to create a filter based on country, or I want to create a filter based on source. Sorry, I need to type it in Dutch. So session sorts and stuff like that. And as soon as you create a filtering report, you can save it as a new report, and you can save it in the library as a new collection as well. So what I've done right here in this example, I actually created a collection called India traffic, and you can see it right here, India traffic. And in that report, in that collection, I've made some reports, and each report has a filter in it saying, okay, I only want to see the data coming from people coming out of India. So that's a possibility to create like your own kind of views in GA4. Again, at this point, I'm not sure whether or not Google is going to add the possibility of creating different views in GA4, but this is probably like the closest way to get to different views in GA4 in the free version though.
Right. Okay. I think that's quite interesting and a quick hack for people, at least who are very, enthusiastic about views, like you said. Okay. Uh, okay. I think let's move to the next one. Right. This is interesting because enhanced measurement event, because the GA4 has typical 3 or 4 types of events, but one of them is enhanced measurement, and it looks like it's very easy. There's a toggle on and off, and enhanced measurement tracks different types of forms, videos, scroll, and page view, and so on and so forth. So is it necessary? Is it not necessary? Is it accurate? So what do you have to say to that?
So there are indeed 4 type of events in GA4. You got the automatically collected events, which basically works as soon as you put the measurement ID on your website. We've got the enhanced measurement events. We got the custom events, and kind of lost the name now.
Recommended.
Recommended events. Yeah, thank you very much for that one. And in the enhanced measurement, I think we will find a lot of really helpful events that probably a lot of marketers are already using one way or another in universal analytics. So, for example, scroll depth. I actually have been using scroll depth in my Google Tag Manager accounts as well, with like a custom tag and trigger to fire an event in universal analytics as soon as 25 or 50 or 75% was being reached. Same applies for video plays. As soon as someone clicks on the video play button or pause the button, file downloads and stuff like that. And I think Google may have seen that a lot of people were using that in universal analytics and said, okay, why not build that in GA4 automatically with the enhanced measurement. And in here you will see some examples like form interactions, video engagement, and scroll depth, which are basically now almost automatically collected events as soon as you toggle the enhanced measurement on. Just to be sure, and that's also stated pretty well in this slide, form interaction, it doesn't work for all type of forms, so that's something to be aware of. Video engagement obviously only work with YouTube videos, and scroll depth in GA4 is only being fired when 90% of the page is being reached. We have a workaround for that one, in which we shoot an additional event to GA4 when some other percentage of the scroll depth is also being reached. But other than that, I think enhanced measurement is really something that you need to toggle on in your account, and it's really simple. You just basically go to your stream in GA4. This is the place where you can find your measurement ID as well, and right under events you can see enhanced measurement. If I remember correctly, this is toggled on automatically, and you can go to the settings, and here you can see the different type of things that are being measured with enhanced measurement. Page views, scrolls, outbound clicks, site searches, form interactions, video engagements, and file downloads. And you can toggle on or off if you don't want to measure something, or maybe you have already built in some additional stuff yourself, and that's why maybe file downloads shouldn't be measured or something like that. But that's basically what you can do in this interface. Yeah, I think that is all I have to say about the enhanced measurement. I'm a fan of it.
Oh, right. And let's say you have already doing video tracking in your GTM, so or Google Tag Manager. So would you still do the enhanced measurement, or would you have another way of doing it?
So video tracking as an example.
If we can take an example, yeah.
Yeah, video tracking. I actually use it in the enhanced measurement.
Okay.
File downloads, on the other hand, I tend to use my own tags and triggers in GTM, but that's probably mainly because of the fact that I'm used to do it on my own in Universal Analytics, and that's basically working fine. Scroll depth is something that we do differently than GA4, because I want to measure more than just the 90% that GA4 is measuring. But other than that, enhanced measurement is pretty fine.
Okay, yeah, that's something to note then. So anybody who doesn't want that particular event to be measured via GA4 enhanced measurement, so they should be cautious and mark it as off rather than toggle it off. Yeah, great. Moving to our next issue. Okay, I think this is again related to developer, where there is a feature which is called Create Event. So when I was checking the GA4 UI event, I was confused. I was like, if I can create everything in the GA4 UI, do I even need GTM, or do I need a developer or not? So, but actually it's a misconception. We cannot substitute developers or custom events using a Create Event feature, because there's something basically the premise of Create Event feature is something different. So what do you have to say to the Lars, and maybe help us with an actual demo of Create Event?
It's really easy to create an event in GA4, but if you do that, and I will show you in a minute, you will see that you can only create an event based on parameters that are already being measured by GA, like page location, which is basically the page URL. And sometimes you need to set up something different, or sometimes you want to fire an event when a certain, I don't know, click on a button has occurred. And in order to measure that, you need to be aware, or you need to make sure, okay, what is the click class of that button, or what is the click text in that button? And that's basically that we can't connect in GA4 in the interface directly. That's something that we need developers or Google Tag Manager in order to get that to work. But other than that, it's pretty easy to make an event or create an event in GA4. You just simply go to the event page in your GA4 account, and you have the possibility to edit an event or make an event. And as soon as you click on make an event, you have the possibility to give it your name. So let's say test event webinar. And then you have to fill in some event names. So what I'm going to call this, let's say, okay, test event. And I need to add some parameters. So when is this event going to be fired? And as you can see right here, as soon as I click on the parameter, I got a drop-down menu of the parameters that I can choose from, which are familiar by GA4 at the moment. So page location, which is basically the URL. So I could say, okay, page location contains, I don't know, /webinar Tagmate, for example. And I can add as much parameters as I want. And that is how we create an event. One thing to notice, we can't use like spaces in the events. We can only use like the underscore. So it should be something like that, like this. And that's basically how we create an event in GA4. But again, if you want to really make sure that the event is being fired at the right moment, you still need to connect this event to a GTM trigger, for example, a click button or something like that. So if you have a look at the misconceptions that we used in the slide, I would say that it's still necessary to have a look at the developer, at least in Google Tag Manager.
Got it. And can I mark this created events as conversions as well? Is that possible?
Yeah, as soon as you created an event, it will start developing data, assuming that the event is being created at the right way. That could take up to 48 hours in order to get that data in place. And as soon as you will see the first data on those events, you are able to mark that as a conversion.
Oh, then that can be interesting for marketers, because if developers created certain events and they want to tweak that event for their own requirement, they might be able to do that then. Yeah, and use
So
it.
what I tend to do is, as soon as I create a new event, immediately go to the GTM debugging, fire that event, so that I am 100% sure that that event is being fired on the website, and that's the sign for me. Okay, let's have another look in 24 hours, because probably within 24 hours or over 24 hours, that event is being shown in the interface, and then I'm able to toggle it as a conversion.
Got it. Yeah, cool. Right. So we'll move to our next issue. This is always going to be sensitive, because is GA4 reporting GDPR compliant? Because there's something called Google Signals, and people think that if we enable Google Signals, we are already GDPR compliant. But that, I think, is not the case, and that's why maybe Lars, you can talk about how France and other countries are reacting to GA4 at this point in time, and what's the solution.
So this is like a Dutchy topic, and it's like a gray area sometimes. First, I want to say I'm not a legal guy. I'm just a simply marketer. So please forgive me if I'm not saying like the legal right answer. But yeah, in you are mentioning France. There are indeed, especially in Europe, a couple of countries that are actually say, okay, Google Analytics is forbidden based on privacy. If I remember correctly, that concerns universal analytics, not GA4. GA4 is more privacy friendly than universal analytics. For example, the fact that in universal analytics, IP addresses are not anonymized, and in GA4 those are automatically anonymized. So that's one thing where Google is looking to. And other than that, GA4 is also considering the fact that people aren't accepting cookies, or the fact that third-party cookies are going away eventually at all. So that basically also means that gap of data that GA4 doesn't have, they will use modeling in order to fill that data and still get some data into your account. But yeah, Google Signals, I think as a marketer, you need to enable Google Signals, because it will give you some additional information like interest and demographics of the people visiting your website. But I'm not sure from a legal perspective if enabling Google Signals is something that is GDPR proof. And right. It kind of depends on where you're from as well. Are you from France? Or I think in America, in the United States, there are some other laws as well. So yeah, like I mentioned, like a gray area.
Yeah, trade on the ice. Yeah. Okay. As long as I think people are getting data, it's okay with user consent, obviously. Yeah.
Yeah, of course. Maybe what is a good thing to show is in this slide you will see different type of ways on how GA4 is using the reporting functionality. So in your settings, you have this possibility called reporting identity, and you can choose like a couple of, I think there are 3 ways to use it: blended, observed, and device-based, if I remember correctly. Have a look in your settings on what you are using. In default, you are using blended, but if you don't have a website where user ID is being tracked, then blended is not always the best way in order to get as much data as you want, but you can toggle between the different settings. So if the default is blended, you may see like, okay, I've got, I don't know, 1,000 users on these pages. Switch from blended to, for example, device-based, go to the same report, and you may see some more data, because there are a couple of ways of how Google is using this way to report the data. So maybe that's something that is interesting to have a look at.
Got it. I think that's then definitely a task for marketers. Yeah. Moving to our next, I think we are just nearing the end of this. We'll go quick. Data retention. It says that it's limited to only 2 months in GA4. That's the default. So people would generally miss out on this setting because it's automatically or auto set to 2 months. So Lars, what do we do then as a marketer? And was the same in UA?
No, there are some differences between UA and GA4. You can see them right here. And as you can see in GA4, 2 months is the default, but you also have the possibility to switch it over to 40 months. In 360 properties, you can increase it even higher. I think this is something that you will need to do like immediately. As soon as you start with GA4, switch from 2 months to 40 months, because obviously you want to have some more data to make some comparisons in your analysis as well. And I can show you where you can do this. It's really easy. If you are in the settings of your GA4 property, there is this data collection, and you can see it's here at 40 months, but at default it is at 2 months. And all you have to do is just change it to 40 months, click save, and that's it. So if you haven't done this yet, do it right away.
Yeah. Or you would be crying over spilled milk. Yeah. Yeah, and we go on to our last one for the webinar at least, but more and more. How to exclude unwanted referrals from your GA4 reports? Because what I read that GA4 Setup Assistant does not migrate the referrals which were there in your UA property. So what do we do here?
Yeah, that's correctly. Obviously, especially when you are a web shop, you will see like the banking referrals in your conversion pads, and you obviously want to make sure that your revenue is being attributed to the right channel and not to the referral channel. So we need to exclude some unwanted referrals, and that's something that we can do in the interface as well. But it's a little bit hidden, so I will show you how to get there. If you go to the stream in GA4, then below events, so this is the event category, and here is where the Google tag settings appear. You have the possibility to go to the tag settings setup, and then you will see something like that. And here is the tricky part. In default, Google is showing you 3 possibilities, 3 options that you can click on. But on the upper right corner, you have the possibility to click on this blue button saying, okay, show me everything. And as soon as you click that, you will see some more menu possibilities popping up. And there's also this one saying, okay, exclude some unwanted referrals. And you can simply go there and add the referrals in here. So you can say, okay, the referral domain contains or is exactly. You can also use a regular expression in this one. So in let's say that you have like 10 referrals you want to exclude. With a regular expression, you can add simply just one exclusion containing all of the 10 domains that you want to exclude. If you have some difficulties with regular expression, just go with one referral at a time. Click save, and that's it. Then you are set to go.
And this would apply to at the stream level or at a property level?
This is a setting that you need to do at the stream level. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Right. So this is definitely a must to do when if you're an e-commerce site or basically when you are working with self-referrals, self-website referrals. Cool. I think we are done the 10 pitfalls, the most common ones or uncommon ones. Will we have more mistakes or critical action areas like remarketing audiences are not directly auto migrated, so you have to do it manually. In UA, BigQuery was not available for raw data export. You had to pay for the premium version, but in GA4 it is available. So you should definitely connect it and get data processing in your BigQuery, where you can use your analysts to query and collect data. Similarly, web and app properties in GA4, you should not have it separate. You should put it under one property while creating multiple streams so that you can do cross-device tracking or cross-device reporting. And one more is about there are lots of limitations in terms of the character limits in event names and parameters. So be on the lookout. There are enough documentation around it so that you don't see haphazard or curtailed names in your GA4 reports. And there are so much more, but we could just push this 10 or 15 in this particular webinar. Right. So I hope Lars provided us accurate demos and also the right insights for you to get started on when you are doing your migration. So you can use this as a checklist while you are doing your migration. Yeah. We'll switch to the Q&A. So the first question, Lars, has come, which is about Google has rolled out an auto migration update. Any insights on this? Is this something that we should proceed with?
Don't use it. No, I'm not a fan of this auto migration tool, but I need to be aware on how to put it, because if you don't have a lot of experience with Google Tag Manager and stuff like that, I think the auto migration tool is like a safe way to at least set up like the basic settings of GA4. But I personally think that every website has some different goals and different objectives, and you need to set up GA4 so specifically so that you can measure those objectives and measure those goals that you want to aim with your website. So I think that each setup for a GA4 account needs to be done manually. Of course, there are like some basic things that you need to do, but there are some other things that you need to do for an e-commerce than you need to do for a lead generation website, for example. So yeah, I'm not a big fan of the auto migration tool. I understand why Google has rolled it, because Google just want to push everybody to the GA4, and they are still seeing, as we also can see in the poll results, they can still see that not everybody has switched over from Universal Analytics to GA4. So I really understand why they roll out something like this. But to be honest, I think it's better if you just spend some more time in understanding GA4 and spend some more time in understanding how the interface works and how do you set up like a proper GA4 property and stream, and then do it yourself, or let somebody else do it, of course, but don't use the migration tool. That's my opinion.
Okay. I think, there's a lot of chatter in the GMP forums as well. People, are talking about it. So I think there was a follow-up question to that also, that what's the basic checklist we should follow during the migration? So is that a checklist of data points? Yeah.
That is a good one. Okay, I'm going to do this on the top of my head. Basic checklist. Step 1, obviously, set up your property and your stream. Step 2, make sure that your measurement ID is being triggered on all the web pages on your website. Step 3, have a look at your additional settings. So the enhanced measurement, IP address filtering, so you can filter out your internal traffic, unwanted referral exclusions, maybe if you have like a difficult setup, cross-domain tracking. Step 4 would be, in my opinion, to connect other Google, how do you say it? Stuff like Google Ads, Google Search Console, Google Optimize, connect those to your GA4 account. And then step 5 would be make sure that all the events that you want to measure are being measured. Step 6 would be mark the event that you want to measure as a conversion, so that your conversion setup is also in place. And then step 7 probably would be create your reports. Make sure that you analyze the data and create your reports. Make it your own menu with the collections, which I shown earlier in the webinar. Because otherwise you will need to create your reports and add your filters every time that you want to see some things. So if you know upfront, okay, I always want to see this information, set it up as a custom report in your collection. And I think maybe I'm missing something, but I think this is like a good proper first step for the migration.
Yeah, I think experience says so. You have remembered all of the steps, I would say. We should bookmark the video now. I think there was a similar question for that. Like, could you please provide a top tip for things to action when doing a website migration? I think it is quite similar to the question. There's one more question that that has come up is like, how does GA4 work for UTM parameters and how to categorize it automatically?
Yeah, so I saw that question popping up and I already replied with like a helpful link. Because in GA4 you have the possibility to measure some additional UTM parameters that weren't available in Universal Analytics, so that's pretty handy. So in the link I shared in the chat, you will see some more information about that one. Okay. But to categorize it automatically, I'm not sure what Talia is meaning by that. I think that if you use UTM parameters, you will probably use it with like a UTM plan, so that you always use the same parameters with underscores or lower scores and stuff like that. Because otherwise it will double up your data. And you can still use the same parameters in your GA4. The only difference is you can make some additional parameters as well. So that's basically the link that I've shared in the chat.
And is this similar to creating channel groupings, like custom channel groupings? Or
no?
Is it not? Sorry, yeah,
no.
just go ahead.
Channel groupings. So there is a difference between the custom channel groupings, the default in Universal Analytics, compared to GA4. GA4 has some new possibilities like paid social, for example. That was something that if you wanted that to measure in Universal Analytics, you needed to create your own channel in the interface. GA4 has the possibility to automatically see, okay, this is a paid social campaign. So that's a big upgrade in my opinion. The downfall is, however, at this point, and if it's now available, it's probably something that they've released like the last couple of days, but at this point it's not possible to edit the default channel grouping in GA4. So
right,
yeah, that's a little bit difficult.
Okay, and I think there was another question on how do I add excluded parameters into GA4, for example, FB click ID.
Okay, so I think because of the fact that in the question it has, okay, for example, the FB click ID. I think what we mean in this one is how can I exclude the URL query parameters? Because that's pretty difficult to explain in like a minute. So I will share a link from Analytics Mania, which is, I don't know if you guys know him, Jules. He has a really difficult last name, Jules Fedorovicius from Analytics Mania. Great guy, really good expert in GA4 as well. So I will reply with a link in which he explains, okay, if you want to exclude those parameters, this is what you need to do in GTM, this is what you need to do in the interface as well. So I think that will probably resolve the question that Phil has asked us.
Right. I think one last question. Assuming I'm using GTM.js and Google Ads, I read that Google is auto-migrating GA4 important conversions on 1st March. If this GA4 converted don't work, will it cause CPA bidding to fail? Shall I reread again?
Yeah, no, I think I understand the question.
Okay.
What we are basically saying here is, okay, Google Ads will auto import your GA4 of auto migrate, saying, yeah, your GA4 imported conversions. So this is something that I really have some issues with, because, and it's my opinion. It's not like you can have your own opinion, of course, but this is how I think about it. When I'm using Google Ads, for the conversion measurement, I actually use the Google Ads stack and not the Universal Analytics stack. Because with the Google Ads stack, I got more data than I have with Universal Analytics stack because of the differences in attribution. So I actually don't import my Google Analytics goals and conversions into my Google Ads account because I want to use the Google Ads stack. That doesn't change with the fact that GA4 is here now. So I do import audiences from GA4 into my Google Ads account. I also import the conversions from GA4 into my Google Ads account, but I don't use those imported conversions as like the algorithm for the smart bidding, the bidding that I'm using in my Google Ads campaigns. So the algorithm that I use in order to optimize my campaigns in Google Ads is based on the Google Ads conversion tag. So if Google is saying, okay, from the 1st of March, your GA4 conversions is what we use in order to optimize your campaigns. If that is true, then yes. If those conversions don't work, then the algorithm has no way to measure the success of your campaign. So your CPA campaigns will fail. But again, I personally don't like to use the Google Analytics conversions. I like to use the Google Ads stack in the conversion measurement.
Right. Okay. There was a question which I had kind of moved out of it, but then so the question was about things to action when doing a website migration. So the user was not asking about UA to GA4, but they were talking about website migration to GA4. Is there some kind of tips and something to look things to look out for?
I'm not pretty sure what we mean with website migration. Is it like from you are building a new website, or
maybe I think that's what it's a fresh setup maybe of GA4. That's what I think. Yeah.
So we have like a website and we're building a new website. What do we need to be aware of? That's the question, right?
Yeah. To set up GA4, maybe I think that's what. Yeah.
Okay. A good question though. Something that I haven't dealt with yet because GA4 is still new for me as well, of course. But on the top of my head, what do you need to be aware of? Well, of course, you need to make sure that the measurement ID is again being tracked on all the pages, so also on the new website. Your URL structure will be different probably, so you need to make sure that you do a double check if your events and conversion measurement are still in place, or maybe you need to make some changes in the events. Same applies for your audiences. If you have built some audiences on the old website based on, for example, URL structure, and your URL structure is changing, your audience will stop working as well. So you need to update those as well. So measurement of the audiences, events, conversions. I think those are the most important one. If you use content grouping, for example, obviously you need to make sure that is working as well. But other than that, I think that is pretty much it.
Right. Yeah. Thank you, Lars, again for answering all these questions. I think there would be more coming across. But if people have more questions, the audience has more questions, please email us at hello@tagmate.app and we'll direct it to Lars there. So last closing thought, maybe. Before we end.
Closing thought. Okay. GA4 is here. I think it has been released without the fact that it was already finished. So that's why Google is still adding new stuff to GA4, which is good, obviously. Some people don't like it, probably because of the fact we are also very well used to universal analytics. But we need to embrace it because we only have a couple of months left in universal analytics. And at the end of this year, the universal analytics data is going away completely. So start using GA4 and get familiar with it.
Yeah, and obviously there's a training that you can do or take from Lars if you get stuck somewhere. While if you want help in your migration or or setting up GA4 scratch on your website in a no code or a low code format, hit us on hello@tagmate.app, and we could show you a demo, and then you can get started on your journey as well. Yeah. Thank you, audience, for staying until the end of the webinar. And there's a surprise giveaways. So please, if you have made up your mind, this is the time to kind of reach us out on our email IDs, which is again hello@tagmate.app and lars@networkonline.nl. These are the two email IDs. You can reach us out for availing these offers. Yeah. Thank you, Lars, again for the time. I think we went overboard, but it was such a great session, I think. Yeah.
Very much. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you, everybody. Have a nice day ahead. Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.